Reaperman here with Super C or Super Contra on NES. Now after I got my NES action set, that's the Mario Duck Hunt set, this was actually the first cartridge I picked up, and I still remember picking it out from the kind of discounted games peg hook at Walmart for $19.99. This would have been about 1992 or 1993. Super Nintendo was already out when I got my NES, but when you're a kid, you get what you can get here. So let's have a look at this game. Now this is a run and gun, and before games like Metal Slug came out, this was the best run and gun. This was everybody's favorite, were the Contra games, specifically the first two, Contra and this one, Super Contra. Also, there was a couple of pretty good Game Boy ones, original Game Boy ones. Now, I just picked up the R power-up, and there were all kinds of rumors back as a kid about what that power-up did. Maybe some lucky kid had Nintendo Power and knew, but I didn't, so I only figured out as an adult that what it does is it makes your bullets move faster, but more critically, it gives you more bullet output on the spread gun, which is the best gun. Let's face it, there's only one good answer for the best gun in this game, and the spread gun is the best in basically all situations. And we should be coming up on the first spread gun before too long here. Now I'm playing this on the Analog Interactive NT Mini. It's NES Core by Kevtris. There's the spread gun. Boom. And it's playing just great, and I'm on an original NES dog bone controller that frankly needs rebuilt, but I haven't seen a rebuild kit for it. This game just looks great, sounds great, handles great, all of that. It does have a couple of weird control quirks. Whoop. Actually, since I'm prone, I will show it. So if you push straight down, you go prone, but if you go diagonal to change directions, you will stand up. And that's generally no good because you're usually prone for a reason. So you cannot change direction while prone in this game, and forgetting that will get you killed. Now this boss, a lot of palettes show it as brown and some will show it as green. By the way to beat it is just get the spread gun right up in there is how most bosses go down. And I'm on kind of a palette that splits the difference between the brown and the green. It does seem like the blue is a little strong in this palette and the red may be a little weak, but that might be my old eyes or this DLP TV, because all of these different TV technologies render color a bit different. Now back in the day, all of our TVs rendered things radically differently though. We had huge control over color and especially tint. Whoop. And we even had control over aspect ratios, which is why this whole 4:3 aspect ratio thing is a bit of bunk. None of us ran 4:3 at home, and none of us ran our colors right. We all had it generally set a little bit warm for the flesh tones on the news, don't you know? Oh, another thing about Super Contra. As you notice here, it's got these overhead levels, where the original Contra, it had kind of three-dimensional run into the screen levels. And I don't think I've ever heard anybody saying they wanted Contra to be anything but the side-scrolling levels, but here we go. It got alternating. Now, this level is actually pretty easy as long as you take it slow. And in Contra, you can take everything slow. It kind of makes the game easy mode, if you will. That's a weird place for that kill everything button. And we're coming up on probably the easiest boss in the whole game, the level 2 boss. And how everybody beats this guy is you just simply walk to the back and get your spread gun right up into the lead dude. Boom, and it's down in like a couple of seconds. I kind of think they put stuff like that in these games on purpose. But that thing that I showed you earlier with the crouching down, changing direction thing, for some reason, this level is more dependent on going prone than other levels. So you will notice that, that whole diagonal problem. And a way to get around that would have been to have prone be on the diagonals as well. But obviously they didn't opt for that. This is absolutely just a lovely level. So when I was a kid, I used to play this 2-player, and I could always get to whatever, either the last level or the second to the last level. But my buddy, he could only get to this level, and then he'd start stealing my lives, and I always told him to hold off stealing my lives until I got to the last level. This level's actually pretty easy. Oh, but here's another quirk. So in this game, you can duck in the water to avoid bullets. And let's clear some stuff out first. But if you're shooting, it delays you going down into the water, and you can't just duck like that. It's just an odd quirk of this game. At first I thought that was my new Mister screwing up until I put it on this NT Mini and it was doing the same thing, so that must be how it is. I just never noticed as a kid. Also, this game would really benefit from auto-fire. My absolute favorite way to play this is with the NES 4 score, which allows A button and B button turbo fire separately. So I get a non-turbo jump button, but a turbo-fired gun button. And here's the game's first mini-boss. And if you have the spread gun, you can actually still keep shooting them while you're prone here. That makes him go down quite a bit faster. But he's pretty easy because he's got this big safe spot right on top of his carapace, I guess? Now, I'm losing my rhythm on this guy. Alright, now here comes a part where the game is going to try and hurry you along, but you have to remember there's no reason to hurry along. It even gives you a special power-up here. This is the invincibility power-up. You don't see many of these in the game. But what it's trying to do is it's trying to trick you into standing on one of these ledges that's going to disappear. Because if it gets a certain ways down, you can't jump off of it and you just have to watch yourself die. And that's not fun. So my advice on this part is just take it very, very slow. Whoop. Also, when it's falling, it can be a bit tricky, in fact, to jump off because you have to be in contact with the platform. Whoop. And when you see these stairs, you know it's over. So, time for the third boss, and again, this is another, just kind of get your spread gun up into these things. Watch out for the bullets. You don't have to get too far away, but do stand just a little bit off center. And like a lot of bosses in Contra, it actually gets easier as you go. Go figure. It would have been a prime time for all of those other holes to open up and start shooting, but nah, it doesn't do that. This game actually isn't all that hard, even though it for some reason gets a reputation for being harder than Contra. It's really not. In fact, it just kind of throws one-ups at you. So this level's got a lot of little gotchas, and you can solve a lot of them by just going slow. Like this thing will stop spitting out bubbles. And it's best just not to advance until it finishes doing what it's doing. This is also a level where two players can start getting you in trouble if one jumps up and scrolls platforms off the bottom of the screen that you were relying on. Yeah, this is largely why I kept telling my player 2 to not steal my lives on this level, because this level is actually, as I recall, quite a bit easier with one player. Although the elevator section, having a second gun is actually not the worst thing. It's getting there that's the trick. Because the elevator section, the largest one, is right at the end. Whoop. Phew. That was close. Duck. Oh, that's going to make the elevator hard. As I recall, though, the elevators start out pretty easy. Those balls aren't too bad. If you have the spread gun, you can pretty easily take them both out. The spread gun's just easy mode. But if you don't, just try and take one of them out and jump the second one. And it's not too tricky. Okay, should start throwing dudes at me here. And run from these guys. Look out for those two. And we're on the next elevator. These guns on the rails are more annoying than they have any right to be, but then it's just kind of more of the same. The boss is right at the top of this elevator, and there is definitely a trick to that boss. Whoop. You have to make yourself a little bit of a safe zone. I don't know about you, but I happen not to like the laser. If there's anybody that actually likes the laser, just kind of leave a comment as to why and what it's good for. It's probably good for bosses, I guess. Now, it's probably not terrible at bosses. Whoop. Okay, now we're up to the boss, speaking of which. In this one, you gotta do some work early on and carve yourself a little safe zone right in the middle. Run. And like every other boss, of course, it really helps out if you've got the spread gun. So anyway, now that I've got myself a safe zone, you just kind of work on widening it. And try not to take the end of it out, because then it'll start sweeping wider across the screen. Okay, now we can take one of the ends out. And there's the boss. It starts off hard, gets easier as it goes. That's bosses in Contra. Whew, now I think we're up to level 5 or so. This is like the waterfall stage, I think. Yeah. I have no idea why I went on my way to pick that up. I tend not to pick up the fire power-ups in this game either. They are much more useful than they are in regular Contra, but they are still not my favorite, not compared to the basic machine gun. Oh, I missed that. Boom. Get this guy. And if you're worried about a section being too hard, just take it slow. There is no time limit. Now, one of the things... Ooh, my bad. One of the things I did notice about this palette I chose is, for whatever reason, that makes the boulders purple. It's like the only thing that is really, really not what I remembered. And you got to watch out for the boulders here because they kind of pass through the platform. And they will hit you if you're standing on the platform rather than going straight down. And as you drop down these, you got to be careful because little dudes come out of this angle, not on this first one, but on pretty much, I think, every subsequent one. And there's also little guns that you can just jump over. You do want to be a little careful about those guns, though, because if you're shooting the gun backwards, you can't shoot the guys that are running through the gun. Alright, so I've got the basic blaster, and I don't even think I have the rapid fire, so this is probably the end of my run here. Because I am not all that experienced at this game as an adult. Ooh. Alright, I got him. So now I think we're up to level 6, and I was playing level 5 here, kind of half blind, but level 6... Oh, I think this is an overhead. This is totally blind. And if this is the level I think it is, there are sections where rushing is a tremendous benefit. It's amazing how much my hands still kind of remember their way through this. Ooh. I do not remember all the gotchas, though. Yeah, I think this is one of those just run moments. Okay, run. Aw. Running through here, of course, works much better with the spread gun. Is this the boss already? Jeez. Okay, that can't be the real boss, right? Okay, gotcha. Okay, those explode, that's not great. But I can shoot them. Good news. Okay, actual boss is gone. I'm actually doing pretty good for somebody that hasn't seriously played this game since he was, oh gosh, 10, 11. When I was 11, my NES kind of melted into a puddle with all of the rest of the stuff I owned when I had a house fire. So that would have been pretty much the end of me playing Super Contra. Until I became an adult. I never really got another NES. I did play a fair amount of Contra at this youth center that I used to go to. And that was all two-player, and of course we were cheating with the Contra code, Konami code. So I'm not sure that counts as actually being any good at Contra. We were just kind of spamming lives at everything. Wow, those guys are transparent. Things you never notice as a kid. Also, every time you hit them, they come up towards you just a little bit. I do remember that. And here's the big drop. Whatever that is, I want it. Okay, fine. Aww. I am definitely not the biggest laser fan. Spread gun. And these things barf out little dudes, if I recall. There they are. Yes, I am being a wimp. Huh. Guess we're gonna actually have to do this. Luckily, you can just kind of shove the spread gun into everything and it goes away. Oh, I remember this guy. Does this guy get harder or something? Because this is... Okay. Suppose not having the spread gun is going to make this tremendously harder. And he's killed me. So anyway, this has been the second Contra game, and this is my personal favorite Contra game. I kept trying to get into the 16-bit ones and the PlayStation one, and Contra never really stuck again. I ended up later on in life really liking the Metal Slug series, but Contra never really did it for me again after Super C. Well, there was... The second Game Boy game was actually really good. I did enjoy that one, black and white Game Boy, but all of the more modern Contras really never caught me again. And until next time, I guess this is Reaper Man out.